announcement this weekend, and I'm going to be reading off the article for you that mainly entails this news for the series itself. Just to get a little case in the lab, some people don't know, Black Clover is a slightly brand new manga in Shonen Jump. It's one of the brand new kind of like Shonen series, which alongside with My Hero Academia is one of the things that they've been kind of been heavily pushing for recently, and I definitely really enjoy the series. It's pretty much a fun read, and I'd definitely say it's something that you could like check out and enjoy, and I'll add the Shonen Jump description, and I'll read out the article there. The combined second and third issue of 2017's Shueisha Weekly Shonen Jump announced on Monday that Yuki Tabata's Black Clover manga will have a super important announcement at a stage event at Jump Festa 17 this weekend. Ryota Ukaya will host the event with Yuki Tabata, the manga author, and idol Honoka Akimoto, who is a Black Clover fan, as guests, which I kind of thought that was cool and all that they actually gave Tabata to join onto there. Like, you're actually going to see the author for the first time, which that's awesome. That's kind of cool. And I don't know too much about this idol. I guess she must be like popular in like Japan or something. She may be like in one of those groups. I was like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of cool. Like, I enjoy it. And this is the thing as well, which is like, what is the super important announcement could be? And if people already know that there is going to be a Jump Festa OVA that they're showcasing, and normally when they say stuff like this, it might be a few things to involve with some of these, mainly with the fact that there's probably going to be an announcement that, hey, we're getting an anime announcement, that there's going to be a TV. A lot of the time, normally, like, these kind of things are to kind of pitch the idea or see, like, people saying, hey, do you like this? And I generally am looking forward to this, and I'd like to say I would have liked it if they waited a little bit longer. Maybe if, like, Black Clover had, like, maybe, like, 110, maybe 120 chapters under his belt before I got an anime adaptation. But then again, they've been really pushing these early adaptations. I believe, like, even My Hero Academia only had a year and a bit, and its anime got announced. Same thing with like Nisekoi. Nisekoi had probably like a year and a bit, and then it's like, I think it was like 80 chapters or so until the anime got announced. And Black Clover was one of the late bloomers, if you think about it. Chapter 90 just came out as of recently, and that's a fair amount on that for the manga. But it's like, yeah, that's kind of awesome. If there's anything that like what's really going to probably push its popularity, if anything, is if it's going to have this new anime come out, and if the anime does really well. Biggest thing is, especially I've talked about in the trailer that came out for the Jump Festa, and especially with the manga as well, is that with the Jump Festa, I believe the studio is doing it, is Studio Zebek, which they're mainly known for doing To Love Through Darkness, and the actual trailer from what we saw, there was some nice little tidbits in there. There was some nice, like, it was heavily CGI used in like the trailer, and there were some bits where I was like, that actually looks kind of cool, and some of the characters, how the models look like that, like honestly somehow like the designs, I was like, I'm not too sure. Now, I also have to say this as well, that's just the Jump Festa, and the Jump Festa trailer, like actual like OVAs, have been known to actually switch off from companies. Like, from what we know, the biggest example, as I always say, is that Toriko was done by Ufotable at Jump Festa, and then it was actually done by Toei the rest of the way around. I believe there was a few exceptions to this rule. I believe some of the studios were actually, they stayed on to do it, but if that's, it could actually be like, oh, maybe Zebek is actually staying around to do this, like these like, they don't really do too many anime adaptations, so maybe they might do that. Maybe some other studio might pick this up. So I'm kind of curious, like, if this is an anime announcement, which I think it's pretty much just safe to say it is, like, for the most part, that it's going to be there, that they're going to say it off, unless it's going to be that, or it's going to be something brand new. And I think, if anything, they're not going to really troll when they say a super important announcement. I think they're going to say, oh, this is actually something important. And, like, Jump has been pushing this a lot. Like, they've been really wanting to get this, like, off the, like, you know, grid, saying, yeah, we want this to do really well, we want it to do very popular. A lot of people seem to really like it. The magazine is actually, like, getting, like, second to, like, it's always in normally the top 5 of the magazine rankings. So, I mean, that's kind of good news to hear, but overall, I am looking forward to it. I'm going to curious to see. I'm going to keep open, like, opinions on what the news is going to be either way, but I think the high, like, probability that is going to be an full anime TV announcement, that they are going to do, like, maybe 12 to 24 episode series of the show, and I'm looking forward to it. Like, if they're actually going to do like something about it, and I hope it is good. That's the one thing I want to say. I hope it's a good studio that's actually going to get behind it, because if anything, that, like, with the criticism that does come out of the Clover, and I honestly don't blame a lot of the criticism that comes out of the Clover, if anything that's going to give the Clover a good advantage, if it has a very good studio on its back that can actually carry it, which I think, like, you know, if they had something, you know, like, on the line, like, I doubt Madhouse would get involved in this, but if they honestly had something that was, like, really high quality, like Madhouse, like Bones, A1, something that, like, if anything, A1 thing was like the sort of company that would do something like this. Like, they do stuff like Fairy Tail and stuff like that, so I feel like this would be sort of up their alleys or something if they did it. Other than that, though, that's pretty much all for the news on there. And however, since I haven't done chapter 90 review of the manga, as I've been very late with that, a lot of stuff has been going on in my life recently, so I do have to apologize for this. For the people who actually do want to know, I am actually going to do the chapter 90 review of the manga right here and now. So for you guys that are wanting to see the news, that's it. So you can click off. If you're not caught up with the manga, I'd highly say you turn off the video now. And for the people that have actually, you know, read the manga or are up to chapter 90 right now, then we are going to be talking about chapter 90 right now. So you got 3 seconds. So we're going to be getting chapter 90 review in 3, 2, 1. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. One of the things I kind of liked immediately getting into like this volume and all that is like I definitely really enjoyed seeing that. It was like, oh, the first thing you saw was a really nice color page, and you got to see like Yuno there with his master. Like I kind of thought that was a nice cool thing. Like they're definitely pushing these light novel characters a lot in this entirety of this arc. And one of the first things you saw as well is like a backstory between him like changing Mars and also that other villain that we see from the Diamond Kingdom, and seeing like how much of like, you know, especially that he's gonna like using his magic, and when he was like using like his wind make like Gale Emperor like sheer peak like, and like he's like, you know, I'm using all this magic just to like go at him and stab through him and just like deal with this. And he's like, if anything, I kind of really like when he's like, oh my god, please no more, I can't take any more of this and all that. I'll be completely sad. He had this such a rapey face, and if anything knows, like if people know who's Red Hungry Joker, and I always say this and all that, if you've seen that face when he's like, I'll be completely stopped, that is completely 100% ripped off from like his previous work, Hungry Joker. There's a character in that series known as Nasiyasu, and he does that really goddamn creepy clown face where it's like, you know, like where he goes like, big brothers come to see you, and it's so goddamn creepy. And I was kind of happy that kind of came back in a way, and I was like, oh god, that looks terrifying. Like seeing that. But definitely you saw like, this is why like these Diamond like Kingdom like generals, if anything, are like pretty goddamn powerful. It's like one of his things is you saw like they're kind of like their grimoires are like stitched together, and it's just like whenever like, you know, magical hit he's like hit with, he's able to absorb it into his body and expel it out. In other words, you know, like he can pretty much like use your own magic against you, and he, you know, kill your forces like entirely with this like crazy power. He just blows people away with that, and he just does like this giant technique and all that. Like he just goes ready or not, here I come, like that, and it's like making this million lasers, just destroying the entirety of the forest, just like devastating. And it's like everyone just got so like, you know, annihilated from this, and it's like it's like, and I kind of like we was getting a little bit of like the backstory as well, saying like, oh, you know, oh wait a minute, who are you? Like, oh, I know who you are, Mr. Crook, you're the lover who fled there like from the prom with like Kingdom and all that. So, you know, how are you? And it's just like, please no, like just don't hurt her, you know, I love her and all that, you know. And I kind of like saying like, regardless and all that, it's like the best thing in the world and all that is like, you know, you have to use your powers to full content, is like, you know, and destroying you pieces of shit. And it's just like, and when she like blasts him in the face, it's just like, how dare you say my husband's not a coward and all that, and he's never gonna stoop down to someone low like you. Like, and I kind of like that. I was like, oh, she's actually got a bit of spunk on her. And it's just like, no, I'm gonna fuck you up. And it's just like when she like, he screamed, please don't hurt my wife and all that, and it's just like, please don't like, you know, kill her or anything like that. And out of everyone that arrived on the scene to deal with this, like, you know, like Guerrero's like, oh my god, and like, please don't hurt. Guess what? Out of everyone it was fucking this guy. It was Mars out of everyone. So finally, the whole thing that we've been saying for a while is that if Mars would actually come out finally in the end and become a good guy, in the sense, it's like, it's now finally happening, where it's like, well, there's someone that can actually compete with this guy who is a pretty much, you know, a monster, kind of like how Mars is. And it's just like, your teachings finally reached me after all this time. And it's just like, Mars out of everyone was the one that did it. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool that he did that in the end. Like, you know, Mars is finally opening up a little bit, and I was like, he was setting up for a while, and I was wondering, you know, what he was really going to be doing in this arc, since he hasn't done too much ever since he was introduced. But yeah, now I'm happy to see that. I wonder if he actually is going to be joining, like, you know, is he going to be joining the Clover Kingdom after this point, or is he kind of being like, I'm still going to stay in the Diamond Kingdom, I need to fix things in there, but I will always be an ally to Asta and you. And another thing to be said around about this chapter as well is like, yeah, Asta was on the color page, not a single part of Asta was in this chapter at all. Like, I'm kind of liking they're now starting to push other characters into this as well. It's like, not Asta doesn't need to be like the poster boy every single time on this series, and I kind of like that. That was a nice little thing. It was like, other people are getting their time to shine, and that was a nice thing about the chapter. I generally thought that was a kind of cool thing. So yeah, overall, in a kind of quick chapter review, not too much in a way where it's like, there was a few things, mainly finding out about the Diamond Kingdom, about Kruger's past, about also as well Mars, how he was training him, and the fact that, you know, like, from what we found out as well, like Mars is finally, you know, he's actually kind of like becoming a little bit more human on there, and the fact that I actually like Kruger's wife a little bit. I think he was like, oh, she's actually got a bit of spunk to her, and she's like blown his face off, and was like, no, I don't give a crap. My husband's strong. Like, you know, he's not a coward. He isn't gonna like be defeated by some like piece of shit like you. And that was kind of nice. I was looking forward to that. And obviously a very distant chapter, chapter 90. I'm looking forward to that, and we are pretty close to getting chapter 100. So that's something I always found that's a great feat for a lot of mangas if they can actually reach chapter 100. I always think that's like a big feat for them, and I hope they do like appreciate that. But hopefully, yeah, with all the news that's been coming out with the anime and all that, I really hope that, you know, this only up till up things and all that they can get for Yuki Tabata. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But that's all from me. So thank you as always for watching, and I will see you guys though next time.